Hello friends, my name is Ryan, and today I'm going to tell you a story named The Rake, the creature that watches you sleep. It's a very amazing story, full of twists, and I'm sure you'll be at the edge of your seat the whole time. So, let's start. It was a cold, unsettling night, one that seemed like the kind that never ends. A thick fog had settled over the town, and the moon barely managed to shine through the dense clouds above. People in the town were going about their business, pretending as if nothing was wrong. But little did they know, something dark, something that lived in the shadows, was watching them all. And not from a distance, no, this creature was much closer than they could ever imagine. It was watching them as they slept. Mark, a simple man living alone in a quiet house on the outskirts of town, had been experiencing strange things recently. He hadn't been sleeping well, waking up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, his heart pounding as if it had been racing for hours. He thought it was just stress from work, but deep down, he felt something else. Something wrong. One night, as he lay in his bed, trying to drift off, he heard a noise. It was faint at first, like something scratching at the floor, but it quickly grew louder, like someone, or something, was moving closer. His heart raced, but he dared not move, too afraid to look. He had heard stories about strange creatures that roamed at night, watching people while they slept, but he had always dismissed them as nothing more than mere tales. Now, however, he wasn't so sure. Then he saw it. A shadow, moving in the corner of his room. It was tall, thin, and stretched unnaturally long. Mark's breath caught in his throat as he watched the creature's eyes, were red, glowing, and full of malice. It was standing at the foot of his bed, staring at him with an intense, almost predatory gaze. Its long, clawed fingers were reaching toward him, but the creature didn't move. It just stood there, watching him. The more he tried to move, the heavier his body felt, like he was paralyzed. Suddenly, the creature grinned, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. It was as if it knew exactly what Mark was feeling: terror, helplessness, and a sense of doom. Then, without warning, it vanished into the shadows, leaving Mark alone in his dark room, breathing heavily, drenched in fear. The next few nights were the same. The creature would appear, always watching, always waiting for Mark to fall asleep. But something was changing. Mark began to notice the signs, the way the creature's shadow would shift, how it seemed to grow stronger, more aggressive. And every time it left behind a feeling of dread, a lingering coldness that seemed to follow him everywhere. But Mark wasn't the only one experiencing this. His friends had begun to report similar encounters. Sarah, his childhood friend, had seen something in the corner of her room late one night. Tom, his colleague, had heard strange scratching noises coming from the attic. All of them described the same creature, tall, thin, with glowing red eyes. They had all heard the stories, of course, but nobody ever really believed in them. That is, until now. They decided to investigate together, hoping to put an end to the terror that had gripped their lives. But what they found was more horrifying than they could have ever imagined. As they dug deeper into the history of their town, they uncovered a dark secret, one that had been hidden for generations. The creature, known only as the Rake, was not some simple monster. It was a manifestation of something far darker, a curse that had been placed on the town centuries ago. Those who fell victim to it were marked, forced to relive the terror over and over again, until they could no longer distinguish between reality and nightmare. The more they searched, the more they learned about the Rake. It was a creature that fed on fear, growing stronger with each passing night, watching, waiting for its next victim. And once it had chosen someone, there was no escaping it. No matter where they went, no matter how far they tried to run, the Rake would always be there, lurking in the darkness, watching them sleep. One night, Mark and his friends gathered together, determined to end the nightmare once and for all. Armed with nothing but their courage, they decided to confront the creature in the very place it had first appeared, Mark's house. They stood together in the darkness, their hearts pounding in their chests, knowing that the final confrontation was imminent. And then it came. The scratching noise echoed through the house, louder than ever. The shadow appeared, stretching across the walls, growing larger with every passing second. Its red eyes glowed in the darkness, and its grin twisted into something more sinister than anything Mark could have imagined. The creature stepped forward, its long claws scraping against the floor as it approached them. But something was different this time. Mark felt a surge of power, something inside him that had been awakened by the fear, by the years of torment. He wasn't afraid anymore. The creature might have fed on fear, but now Mark was in control. With one final, desperate push, they fought back, driving the creature back into the shadows. But even as the rake disappeared into the darkness, they knew that this was not the end. It would always be there, watching, waiting, ready to return. And so, my friends, the story doesn't end here. The rake is out there, somewhere, still lurking in the shadows, still waiting for the next victim. It might be you. It might be me. It might be anyone. But remember, you're not alone. If you ever find yourself in the dark, lying in bed, and you feel like something is watching you, just remember this story. And if you want to hear more, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, where I'll keep sharing these spine-chilling tales. Until next time, stay safe, stay awake, and always be aware of what's watching you while you sleep.